They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go! Here I am.
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 animated without parent.
You can't hide.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Dripping in gold? That's cool. Dripping in Velveeta's supremely creamy golden cheesiness? That's respect. Elevate your drip with Velveeta's range of outrageously delicious dips and dishes. Shells, cheese, melty blocks, and heat and eat queso that go all in on indulgence. Flex on your fam with a creamy, cheesy masterpiece and go all in on what you love with Velveeta. Respect the drip and satisfy your cravings. Bring home the drip with Velveeta.
You're listening to the Super Rugby Cymru podcast.
Hello and welcome to the SRC Podcast. Joining me, Big M, your usual host, Joe Wilson, Rob Rees, and Mr. John Harris. Good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
All good, Em? All good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, thanks, Em.
Okay, so normally we'd have a little bit chat about how was our week, etc., but I think that's a bit boring. So we're going to jump straight into rugby, and I'm not jumping into Thursday night because there's a bigger result we need to talk about first. So RGC 28, Llandovery 23. Joe, you picked them to win last week when no one else did. Come on, how was it? But how are you feeling after that pick?
Yeah, I just felt RGC were going to be really disappointed with that first week's performance, and they really have the bit between their teeth, and I think that proved to be right. I just think Llandovery, for me, probably still waiting for a few players to come back, so there was a good chance RGC could do something, and yeah, they did well, they performed well, executed well, so that's all you can afford.
Yeah. I mean,
that's their one result, though, is it, boys? Because you all said they get the one result every year. The shocks a few, so that's a better dusted.
Back myself that they get one result in the year and then still went for Llandovery.
It's typical, man.
And I said no, they're not going to back up with one. They're not going to back up a strong showing with another strong showing against another top side. So you're welcome for that, jinx, lads.
No. Honestly, I've just been speaking with Saul Nelson, one of the RGC coaches, and I wish I had spoken to him before we done them previews, because honest to God, he made me believe in RGC, unbelievably so. He was awesome. From a Llandovery point of view, I mean, it's not even an argument to say, it was a weak side. It really wasn't. It was incredibly strong. And, only a handful of new boys from the week before. It's like, I haven't got no excuses about these Scarlet saying, Llandovery, giving excuses. But, fully well-deserved to RGC. Well done. And, to be honest, I don't think this is going to be their only big result. I think it's been something like 6-7 years since they beat RGC in the league. So, this is the beginning of something great for RGC. So if we move back on to the Thursday night game then, so bit of a tussle in the end. Rob, tell me, how did you feel this game went, all in all?
I thought Cardiff did a really good job of sort of not disrupting the flow because they were playing the better rugby, but disrupting Ebervale's flow and breaking it apart when they needed to. They just stopped everything Ebervale had. Breakdown, the set piece didn't work until 60 minutes, 70 minutes. And the kicking game was dominated, especially in the first half. And when you're 17 points behind, away to a good side at Cardiff. I know we haven't backed them as maybe one of the strongest sides, but they're still a good side, especially at home. You're giving yourself too much of a job to do. I just thought, like I said, I used the adjective strangles. They just strangled Ebervale, and then it was when they went 10 points up, it never really looked like Cardiff were going to lose that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great watch for anyone, and Joe alluded to it previously as well. The pace in that back line was very, very evident, and the scoreline, I don't think it does Ebervale justice. 29-12, 17-point margin. It seems one-sided, but it was more like Cardiff winning a lot of things, probably 53-47 on those margins. So, Joe, I know you were at the game as well. So, how did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, it was a good game, and I think you're right. The scoreline probably didn't reflect the balance of play. I thought Ebervale the pack competed really well. They probably didn't play with quite enough width and adventure, I guess, when they got into the scoring zone, sort of beyond the 10-meter line, the way that I would have liked to see. And I think they did attack down the centre a couple of times. That they obviously identified what was a young centre partnership for Cardiff, but they were pretty resolute there, to be fair. And I think where the score sort of ended up getting away from Ebervale was there was two length of the field counter-attacks where the gas was on show, and it was pretty evident. Obviously, Dowie Cross got 2 this week. It was Tom Bowen 3 the week before. They have got serious wheels outside, and they were able to get on the outside of that Ebervale attack, and as well as the 2 tries, I think there's 1 or 2 other occasions where they sort of broke out and went length of the field, and bar a luck of a bounce, they might have had more tries. So I think sort of possession-wise and everything else, stat-wise, it probably would have looked pretty evens, but I just think the difference was out wide. There was definite gas there.
Yeah, that's 100%. I think we all probably thought that at the time. One thing of note to that Cardiff side, they did have 2 front rowers who have been involved with the Wales squad in the last year. Evan Daniel and Will Davis-King. So, that scrum, that set piece unit, it was a weapon. And if those boys do continue turning out for the Rags, then watch out. That's all I'm going to say in this. John, I'm assuming you watched the game on Thursday night as well. So how was it for you as a neutral?
Well, I didn't get to see as much of it as I was hoping. In the end, Mrs. was working late, so I'd sort the baby out. So trying to kind of watch it on the phone then. But I thought what impressed me, like you said about the length of the field tries, I've seen that return from a kick by Tom Rice that he went charged up the middle of the field, and then a couple of fens and got the ball off to Josh Thomas, who just gave it then to Terry Cross, who, like I say, with his pace, just looked amazing. But what I thought massive turning point in that game was the Cardiff yellow card. Even though they went down a man, Ebervale then had it was like 67 minutes scrum on the Cardiff line. If they score from that scrum, it's a 1-score game going into the last 10 minutes with an extra man. And I thought the yellow card was harsh. I don't know if anybody else thought he actually knocked it back, or if that's just me, which means wasn't a deliberate knock on anyway. But so that you could say it might be justice then for the penalty from the scrum. But I think that was a massive turning point, and a great try to finish it off, because they could have just sat on that. But no, they went for the 2 extra bonus points at the end with good chow going in the corner. So but I was also impressed with Ebervale's driving more from the try they scored. They still look big and strong, and that looked a weapon. No one was stopping that. So I do think the score flatters a little bit, as you boys have said, but great game, great tries, and fair play to Cardiff for killing them, going for the kill at the end.
Yeah. So last point of this game, Stefan Emmanuel picked up the Serena game. Young centre partnership, like Joe has already alluded to. So, big things expected of him in particular. So we move on to the next game now. Aberavon 24, Carmarthen Quins 18. Now, I had backed Carmarthen Quins for this one, and even following the game live, I thought they were going to come back into it. They were going to nick it at the end, but Aberavon stuck out. They got the win. So, John, you were there live. You probably had a few too many beers to remember all of this. But what was the experience like? Talk us through it.
Well, it was a great experience. Yeah, that was first home game of the season. Is always an all-dayer for me, I will admit. So I was out from like 12 o'clock in a couple of pubs first as well with my brother. Went to club shop first, got a jersey for 10 quid from the reduced corner because the new ones haven't come in yet. But yeah, it was a nice day for the game. Quinn started very, very strong. Good carries by their forwards to set up our first try for Lewis Morgan. Got a brace. First one, pick and goes by the forwards, strong carries, and then another one from line out, driving maul. Shifted, he just he'd spin away from everyone and then almost free in. But Aberavon, fair play, got himself back into it. Seaward intercepted after a kickback from Carmarthen. Then Scott and Evo chips it over and just pops up for Willem Evans to score under the posts. Ashton Evans as well, Rhys Thomas, the back rowers, carrying hard all day, which that's come straight from a kick-off as well then. Ashton Evans hitting up the middle, feeds it out wide, and Corey Lewis-Jenkins gas to spare that boy's got in the corner. So yeah, it was another one of those games. So we've seen this so many times down the tag. Abraham scored 3 tries in the first half, and then you're thinking all second half, we're looking at this bonus point now, and they don't come. But Quinn's fair play, they kept coming as well, because penalty to stay within a shot, and it was very close at the end. I don't know if you saw the highlights. Quinn's over the line in injury time and just knocked the ball forward. So it's that close. But a good win to get Aberavon back on track. Much needed, I think. So that'll give them confidence now, which they're going to need going into Newport tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, solid performance. I think it was at least to say against Ebbw Vale, and you backed that up with a good home win against Carmarthen Quinn. So positive signs at Aberavon. Rob, tell me, did Quins really have a chance in this game, or was it too far too gone after half time?
No, I think it's one of those ones that probably at the time you would probably say it is too far gone, knowing that what Aberavon's game plan is. Tag is a difficult place to sort of be chasing the game. But I think what this game has shown is that Carmarthen backed up their big win over Swansea in round 1, and Carmarthen have got a lot about them. They've stuck with an Aberavon side. I mean, if they hold on to that ball at the end, they've got a kick to have a chance of going 2 from 2 and picking up, a sort of a big scalp, in the early doors. So I think it probably was a step too far for them to come back. But they said, saying that, I think it was 2 well-structured teams in a game that was actually pretty well structured as well. Nobody sort of broke away from what they wanted to do, and I think that's gonna show Quins in good stead despite the loss this week. They'll pick up a lot of points this season purely from staying to the plan, which I know is every coach's dream.
Yeah, I mean, something I know about the Quins is that they've got quite a few young academy boys that they're really invested in that haven't been able to take the field yet. So you've got the likes of, Will Couch, the under-20s hooker Isaac Young, who for me looked outstanding during the Junior World Cup. Ellis Price, who they've basically said that he's going to be their 10 once he's fit. And then obviously you've got, someone like Tom Curry who's yet to feature. So, there's a lot of improvement still to be made in this side, from the Quins' perspective. So I wouldn't be taking, too much disheartening from this game. Joe, did you get anything different from this?
No, only that I understand the usual captain was missing. I think Rhys Thomas stepped up. Is that right, John? As captain?
Yeah, that's right. Rhys Thomas captain. That was Dormer.
What I heard on the grapevine was that he and Ashton Evans were just really to the fore, especially when it looked like Quins had got some momentum in the game. Apparently, these two just kept stepping up. So, in terms of your second row and your captain, that's exactly what you want. And apparently, they were outstanding. So.
Yeah, they were given a lot of targets. They were just both couldn't wait to carry. So straight away, you've got a target, then you're going forward.
So this brings us on now to, I think it was the closest game of the weekend. Bridgend against Pontypool at the Brewery. Pontypool's really sneaking it in the end, 29-26. And, we're starting to see a trend here with Bridgend where they start in really fast. They get out the block so quick. And they're just dropping off in certain patches of the game. And in that second half, I think it is their discipline that cost them ultimately in the end. I think it was a couple of yellow cards. So, playing 14-man rugby for, 20 plus minutes in the second half. It'd be hard enough to try and get away with it in the first half, but in the second, when those legs are tiring, it's going to kill you. Rob, what more can you tell us about this one, bud?
Yeah, I think this is completely the opposite of Abrav and Quins. I think the league changed hands five or six times, and I think Bridgend will be kicking themselves that they haven't picked up a home victory over Pontypool 2 seasons running. Bridgend are looking, like they said, they're setting off really good, but at the moment they're being picked off far too easy with the game plan. Once a side is settling in, and we've seen it with Newport, and you settle in, you nullify the basic threats, and then all of a sudden, Bridgend are relying off some really good play and some sort of big moves to sort of pull things through. I mean, they've relied on Ed Howley now for God knows how many years at times to sort of single-handedly pull results through, and I just think at the moment that they're looking a much better prospect than what we thought we were going to see. I think that's snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I sense. I think Pontypool will be very relieved to come away with one there, especially knowing that they'd have probably said one victory from the first 2 fixtures they would have been sort of happy with. 6 points is probably the same, but I think that's one that the Bridgend fans would have wanted to keep a hold on, and unfortunately they just need to keep a bit of discipline and keep a bit of physical structure to their sides, because at the moment they're leaking all these points in that middle third of a game, and it's not getting them away from them, because obviously they finished within 3 points in this sort of instance. But yeah, you can't let a side back in and sort of let them take over the structure of your game.
Yeah. So one thing I'm going to point out as a possible concern for Pontypool, and I believe that you may have actually alluded to it earlier, Rob, is the current 10. Now, obviously, we haven't got all the live images from the game, but 2 from 5 conversions. He did miss one against Llandovery in the first match. Obviously, they're scoring tries. That's all absolutely brilliant. But, these conversions really do consolidate those tries. Is this a worry for Pontypool? Like, obviously, they've gone over the line, against Bridgend, really close against Llandovery. But, would maybe an 85-90% kicker really improve them? Should they have really done more in the summer?
I think it's a difficult one. I think Kieran's come from a good point scoring background. He didn't kick too much with Ebervale last year, but he was pretty successful when he did take a bit more game time towards the latter part of the season. He's got good pedigree with it, and obviously he's really good with ball out of hand. I think he nailed the drop goal actually against Bridgend last season for Ebervale. I think it was Kieran that did it then. Obviously he hit the drop goal against Llandovery in round 1. But as you say, you just got to sharpen these sort of areas up. Funny enough, it was sort of the talk not from the tee in the Cardiff Ebervale game, but kicking from hand as well. You start missing these kicks to corners, and you start chasing the game. And I say you will get away with it, but ultimately it's the sort of the big games that will cost you, and they're effectively one missed kick away from Bridgend taking a draw, and then that's that's when you really start analysing just how bad these misses are. But I think over the season they'll be okay. I'm interested to see if Harry Ford gets in at any time soon, because I know back in the summer that was always the sort of the plan, and sort of how they brought Kieran in because of the lack of Harry Ford, and Harry Ford drops down. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting tale. But I think they've got the kickers there. I don't think that's going to be the worry too much, providing Kieran goes back to his old form.
So, Joe, tell me a little bit more, about this game. Obviously, I know you're Cardiff, but Bridgend, I know it's Ospreys region, but it's basically it's close to Cardiff. So, I'm going to have you cover the Bridgend aspect of this now.
Yeah, well, I think they started off really quickly, Bridgend, to be fair to them. I think the one thing that stood out about the first game for Pontypool was that they started really slowly, and it sounded as if they'd started off quite slowly in this game. I think I'm right in saying Bridgend received, and is it Collier, the 8, I think, went over for them pretty quick as well, literally like first or second minute. Yeah. So I think in terms of starting the game, Bridgend started off as a coach's dream, scoring within 2 minutes. And I think what seems to be impacting their games when you look at it is just a little bit of sort of game nous and a bit of game management. So I think if they can address that, just sort of get a little bit better at stopping the momentum swings in the game, which Pontypool were able to generate, I think you'll start to see a swing in fortunes for Bridgend, because they're, one thing that sort of stands out when you do see their tries, they're a skillful side. They're a really quick, skillful side. So I'm confident, the coaching group they've got down there and the playing group they've got down there, that they'll get results. But I think there's, perhaps a little bit of a bedding in period going on still at the moment for them. And, I think in the next 2 games, we'll start to see a better positive outcome for Bridgend.
So that brings us on nicely to our final game of the round, which was Swansea at home to Newport. The first thing I'm going to say is a massive performance for Josh Phillips. Everything I've read, everything I've seen, he was absolutely outstanding. 17 points out of his side's 27, nothing to be sniffed at. Newport coming away with the spoils, 35-27. Obviously, very disheartening for Swansea. Having a 13-point lead at halftime. It was 20-7 at that point. So, John, I'll come to you. Tell me a little bit more. Newport really rallied in this game.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It's a shame for Swansea because they've played really well in this, and in the end, not come away with anything, which feels a bit harsh. And yeah, like you said about Josh Phillips, his try in the first half as well. He just sliced Newport open and went over almost untouched. And you say 20 points to 7 at half time. If you're Swansea now, you're at home as well. You've got to close that out the second half, because no offense to Swansea, you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get like that. 13 points up. But Newport, as we've said every week, the quality side. And they've scored 5 tries or 4 tries in that second half. One of them, my favourite try of the round as well, the hooker Wade Langley, for nearly 50 metres, breaking through, dummy, and then gasses everyone in 86th minute of the game. That was an absolute cracker. So if anyone hasn't seen that, you need to go and have a look at it. Same as Josh Phillips' try in mind. So I feel like there's definitely something there with Swansea in that back line. I think Callum Carson and Harry Houston linked up well for one of their tries too. So there's something there for them to work on, definitely. But I think that they would be a bit gutted they haven't got something out of that game for how well they played.
Yeah, so something we actually discussed last week is how much of an impact would someone like Morgan Morse have on this side should he come back in, and he did indeed come back in. So I think it's safe to say, that boy can do some damage. I mean, Rob, looking at it from a Newport sort of perspective, seeing, I know he's still a baby, really, Morgan Morse, seeing someone like that who is that powerful and can cause havoc, how do you really, focus on your own game plan when you know you've got that monster to defend?
He'd be good when he grows up, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. Newport will know what their game plan is, and I think the Newport wider game plan is around the driving maul, the set piece, and within 3-phase rugby. I think the worrying thing for Newport, or slightly worrying, obviously, is they're still top. They've got 11 of the 12 available points. Is they've had 2 slow starts in a row now. Was it 10-0 down at the start of the Bridgend game, and obviously 13 points adrift at half-time here. It's what we've just said, is you can't keep giving sides these advantages, because it will come back and haunt you. And I think that's what we sort of saw the first half. As we said, Josh Phillips, I think if you see the highlights package of this game, you could probably pick try of the month and only include this game. The hands on show, and I think that's where it sort of broke in sort of Swansea's favour, was that sort of ragged edge. Let's throw it about, let's put a bit of risk on it, and it's risk reward. It's high risk, but it's high reward when it pays off. And I think Newport did exactly what Tyrone Morris wanted them to do against Bridgend: play the conditions, control it, and play their game plan. Get the forwards more involved. Don't get drawn into this. Let's just throw it about silly rugby. And you can start to see the highlights going from these 50-meter tries to the 20-meter mauls coming in. It's like phasing it in, and that's sort of epitomizes exactly what Newport sort of did. They started to turn it on its head, get it to where they want to be. And like I said, it's Wade Langley with some beautiful work on his own, but overall that Newport pack did turn it. I think that's how you get on top of someone like Morgan Morse. And good game from Morse, but you get on top of the wider picture and you effectively nullify, or you're limiting the threat.
So, Joe, I'm going to come to you for final word on this game. Where are your eyes seeing it?
Yeah, I think we all called a Newport win here, and I think Newport will be pleased. There was a good split in the tries scored, 3 from the forwards, 2 from the backs, I think is accurate. I just think Swansea will want to have more time with their parachute players and just get those combinations, understanding each other. Perhaps the game just reflected the fact that Newport's squad are used to playing with each other, and Swansea's, perhaps it began to show then in the second half, after the strike moves had been shown once, that there wasn't that sort of in-depth familiarity with each other, the same way probably Newport have got. So, and I think what stood out for me as well is Newport's peak in the second half was very, very high. I take the point they started slowly, but they were devastating second half. I think if you're a coach looking at that second half, you'll be as pleased with the second half as you were disappointed with the first half. So if they can get an 80-minute performance together, they're going to be a handful this year, Newport.
Yeah. So that rounds up all the results from this past week. If you like what you're listening to, or you think what we're doing is okay, give us a like or subscribe. It's a massive help. Comment is what we want. We love engagement. If you agree with us, comment. If you disagree with us, comment. We'll answer you back. We love a good debate. So this now brings us on to this week. As always, this is a Wednesday night recording. Podcast should be out roughly 3 p.m. on a Thursday. That is our allotted time. So, keep that in mind. So we move on to the first game of the week, which is the Thursday Night Lights live on S4C S4C. Aberafan at home to Newport. John, you're Aberafan. I almost called you Newport then. That would have been embarrassing. Tell me, what are you expecting from this match, and which way is it going to go?
I'm expecting a close one, to be honest. Head-to-heads, I've actually written some information down for this for a change. So, the head-to-heads at the tag between these two teams, we've got 12 wins apiece and 1 draw. Newport have, as much as the tag as we all think of it as, well, I certainly do, as a bit of a fortress, Newport have won the last 3 at the tag, winning both games last season. Even gone into looking at the bookies, have got Newport down to win this by 10. So I think it'll be. I got a feeling it'll be a bit closer than that. I think, hopefully with these slow starts Newport will be having, they're going to take another week after this before they sort that out. But we can say the same for ourselves. Man. We've started both games a little bit slowly too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get to this one, unfortunately, but I will be watching it on SRC Click. I know the teams have been released, but I've saved them on my phone, so I can't actually look at them now because I'm recording on my phone. So, but I know there is a debutant for Aberafan in this game, although I can't remember his name right now, but I'm sure it's one of the wingers.
Number
As
9.
long as Aberafan can
on the bench last week, he was
match. If they can match Newport up front, there's some cutting edge behind that Aberafan pack at the moment, but it's stopping that Newport even that Newport force when it comes, because like Joe said in that Swansea game when they turned it on that second half, it is quite something. So, I'm gonna go for an Aberafan win. I've got to go with a heart on this one. Nobody's going to win 4 games at our ground in a row, so it's not happening. Black and Ambers. So I'm going to go Aberafan win on this one, but Newport probably come away with a losing bonus point, I think.
Oh, that's generous. That's very generous to Newport, I think. Well, we're all mistaken.
I'm probably going to be the only one who picks us, so.
Yeah, I think you might be, if I'm honest. But so we're all making mistakes with team names. So that's me and John down. We just got to wait for Rob and Joe to do it. So Rob, I'll come to you now. We've had the Aberafan side of it. Is anyone really betting against Newport in this game other than the Aberafan faithful?
Seems unlikely. I think it's an interesting Newport selection. It's not an expected one. Obviously, Matt O'Brien doesn't feature, but a certain Dragons fly-half and Will Reid does. And I think that's a key area for me. Calvin Penny at the moment, he's switched between fly-half and full-back since he's come to Newport. And I think it's all about that bit of a control. And I think looking at the way they set the squad out, within American football season, I think Newport have gone spread offense here. I mean, Liam Lloyd's coming onto the wing, and I've already spoken about how much pace he's got to match up with Lloyd Lewis on the other side. Nick Thomas I say a bit more mobile. Sorry, Renard. A lot more mobile than Renard Landman. And I think you can just sort of see where they want to go with it. Ollie Drake coming in the front row. He's a very dynamic player despite the size. And I just look at that side and think they're coming out to pick that ball, take it round the corner and get it wide as quick as they can. And unfortunately, I think they are going to get the win. But I think that's going to be a very intriguing tie. I don't think this is going to be one that's, because of the Newport start, I don't think this is going to be one that everyone's going to be putting their mortgage on. Yeah.
So I am going to assume from that you're doing Newport. Can I get a verbal?
You can. I'm going Newport, sir.
Okay. I'm going Newport as well. I can't see against that. My only issue with Newport going forward is continuity. They made 9 changes to the 15 for the first, between the first and second game. 8 changes now to this one. Obviously, massively talented squad. There's no doubt about that. But continuity in that 15 is a massive thing, and you look at sides that don't mess around with their best 15 or their starting 15, I should say. They tend to have steady success throughout the season. So Newport for me, that's slight concerns about them going forward, even though they've taken 11 points out of possible 12. Joe, you were the last one on this game. Where's it going, my friend?
Yeah, I think Aberafan for me are up against it because no one's failed to stop Newport scoring less than 35 points in the first 2 games. And I think pivotal to Aberafan's success will be their ability to do that. If they can keep them at 30 points, they've got a sniff. I just think the Newport bench, when it unloads, there's some big lumps in there, there's some quick lumps in there. So unfortunately, I'm going with Newport as well. Sorry, John.
Oh,
well, that's 3-1. That's 3-1 in Newport's favour.
Well, only one person went for RGC last week, so I don't mind being the one.
He's pulling that one out. Okay. So just a reminder to everyone, this is the first round of the double header. So all the fixtures this week will be reversed next week. We come on to Ebbw Vale against Llandovery. For me, Llandovery really underperformed in their opening 2 games. Something's got to click. And I think Ebbw Vale is the perfect side for them to do that against. I'm really sorry, Rob. I am going to back Llandovery for this one. So I'm going to let Rob stew on me, betting against Ebbw for a little bit. Joe, I'm going to come straight to you. Tell me where the battle's in this one and who you calling it.
Yeah, 2 really good packs. It'll be interesting to see him clash. I think it's going to be huge. I mean, the one thing that stood out seeing Ebbw Vale up close last week was there's some big men in there. So this is going to be really interesting. I feel it's going to be a very tight affair, this, because I think Ebbw Vale will be disappointed with aspects of the game from last week. I think they had field position, they had enough possession, they probably just didn't take advantage of it. Similarly, I think Llandovery are going to be seeded after last week. So I've got Llandovery with a 2-point win here.
Llandovery. So all I'm going to add into this is basically just from what I can find from the Llandovery website is the last time they lost to RGC in a league fixture was the 6th of October 2018. So, that loss is going to hurt them. John, are you thinking any different, or, can Ebbw Vale overcome their execution and lack of execution and composure this past week?
Well, they definitely can. I'm back and forth on this one. I've been back and forth on it while you've all been talking, but there. Bookies have got Llandovery slight favourites, 4-5. Ebbw Vale even money, 2 points. Head start for Ebbw Vale. I was thinking Ebbw Vale the whole time, but now the more I think about how pissed off Llandovery are going to be after the weekend, I wouldn't want to play a pissed off Llandovery. So, I want to pick Ebbw Vale for it as well, but it's a coin toss. So I'm going to say it's Llandovery because because of that loss up in RGC, I just think they're going to come down so motivated. Not that Ebbw Vale won't be after losing to Cardiff, but I've got to pick someone, and it's literally a coin toss. I'll go Llandovery with this one, but it's 100% whoever's losing, I think, is getting the bonus points.
You know what, John? I think we're going to start calling you Bookie from now on, and you can give us the odds on every single game every week.
That'll be something else to add to it.
Yeah. So we've heard from 3 of us. We've all picked Llandovery. I think we're going to leave this game there and move on to the next one. I wouldn't do that to you, Rob. Come on, but big up Ebbw Vale for us.
So it's going to be 4 Llandovery wins.
Oh.
No. In all seriousness, I know Llandovery lost this fixture last season, but I think we're starting to see the Llandovery side coming through. Barry and Watkins made his first appearance of the season last week. I think we're starting to see Llandovery take a couple of weeks. They're starting to get into it, and as I say, they're going to be hurt. And I think Ebbw Vale will be as well. I think it's going to be very much a tussle of up front. I'm intrigued to see how the weather goes this week in terms of the style of rugby that we could see. It's not been kind now since the Aberafon games, which I know the pitch is looking really good then. I'll be dropping down for this one because this is going to be a really intriguing battle. But yeah, I'm going to be going with heads because I know I went with heart last week and that cost me perfect predictions. So yes, I'm not sure if this is our first 4-0 sweep of a fixture this season. I think it is. I've killed the pod off. I've ruined it.
No, I think we all went Newport last week, didn't we, against Swansea?
And Pontypool.
Well, there we go then. Memory like a cinch. That's the 3rd time this has happened in 2 weeks.
I didn't expect this to happen. Rob, I think you're gonna. I'm gonna talk to Mr. Strange, and you're gonna get banned. Simple as. Okay, so 4. Wow. I really didn't anticipate that from you, but okay. So move on to the next game. Carmarthen Quins at home to Cardiff. Discussed a bit on the Quins earlier. I think there's so much more to come from them. And, I'm just because, of something Joe said a week or so ago, I'm never going to back Cardiff. So I've kind of put myself in a corner by here. And I've written Cardiff in, but I realised that do I want to go for perfect predictions, or do I want to just, make things fun? I'll make things fun. Go on. Carmarthen Quinn's going to win this one. Joe, I'm coming straight to you as our resident Cardiffian. Cardiffian? Yeah, that sounds about right. Tell me about the Cardiff side.
I haven't actually seen a squad. From Cardiff for this yet, I don't think.
No, they normally, Thursday night is normally the earliest they come out.
Bit early,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing funny games. Look, I think if they've got those 4 parachutes in again, I think they're capable of getting parity with that Quins pack. And as we've seen so far this season, I think the back line is capable of causing damage down at parity. So, I'm really excited about this young Cardiff team. The backs are really exciting. I'm going to back them. I don't think there'll be much in it. I think there'll be 1 try in it. I just think that Cardiff gas on the outside is going to be a handful for everyone this year. So I've got Cardiff 30, Quins 24.
Ooh, 1-score game. That's
a score as well.
Yeah, I mean he was kind of okay with his scores last week. He took a photo to show us all. So I think he wants to try and get
them spot on. Yeah,
there was 1 crossed out afterwards, wasn't there?
I just think he wants some public recognition.
I changed my mind.
Yes. He was just frantically searching around for the same colour pen.
I tell you who we didn't mention earlier as well, just for Cardiff as well. I know Emmanuel got man of the match last week, but what was the open side's name? Nathan Hudd. He got about 6 or 7 turnovers last week. He was outstanding. If he can have that impact on the game again, I think it'll help a lot.
Brilliant. So, Rob, I'm going to come straight to you now to really ruin my party. So, the Quins have a chance. Is a losing bonus point all they can really hope for?
No, I think they do have a genuine shot at this. I think the big turning factor will be the parachute players. I think for me, it's a narrow Cardiff win without them. It's not a significant win with them, but I also think that could depend on the conditions. I know, a bad weather day down at the park is really open. You can't spread the ball very well at all. I stood there on a Thursday night last season, and it absolutely hammered down for the Embervale game, and it was not a good sight. And I think that's where Cardiff can do the damage. They said their back 3 is full of pace, and if the weather holds up enough that they can get the ball to them, I think that we could be looking more than the score. But yeah, Cardiff win for me for this.
So, John, you're the last one to pick. Am I going to be the only one with a correct prediction on this one this week, or are you going to join me?
Well, if you're picking Cardiff as well, yeah, you'll be right on the money. But
shocking.
I can't personally see anything other than Cardiff taking this one. I think Quins have got it up front to go toe to toe with them, but I just think Cardiff have got, as the boys have said already, too much behind, too much pace, too much skill, and I think that's going to be what makes the difference in this one. Again, bookies have got it same as the Abraham game at Carmarthen +10, 5-2 for Carmarthen, 1-4 Cardiff, and I think they're not far off. I'm thinking about 10 to 12 points Cardiff win. Yeah.
Okay, so that rounds up that game. It's 3-1 in favour of Cardiff. This brings us on to the next match, which is RGC at home to Pontypool. Now, I alluded earlier, I've spoken with Saul Nelson from there, and I believe in RGC. I really, truly do. That is going to be the tagline from going forward. I believe in RGC. Massive performance against Cardiff. Highly, highly unlucky to miss out on a draw in that game, and then to do the job over Llandovery. Llandovery was hammering that door down for the last 5-10 minutes. It was 5-point game, and they had a line out in the 22 and RGC repelled them. So for those reasons, and I gotta pick RGC. I know Pontypool have been fairly strong going in. That first game they looked good. They ground out the win against Bridgend, but yeah, it's RGC for me all the way this week. Rob, straight to you. Come on, where's it going?
Do you know what? I think I might join you on this one. I'm gonna take a punt, and obviously these two are rather well acquainted from the old championship days.
Yes.
But I think the RGC surface is really suiting their game plan at the moment, and I think what we've seen from them is an improvement of performance, and that's what the coaches want, right? Early doors in the season, it's not always it's about the results, but it's about the performance deep down. And what we've seen with RGC is unlucky result, solid performance against Cardiff, cracking result, better performance. And I don't think Pontypool has shown enough for me at the moment to say that I'm convinced with them. So I think with all the travelling and RGC's newfound form that's embarrassing us all with the 10th place prediction, that is going to be an RGC victory. Let's take a punt.
Okay, John, down to you, but RGC going to look to get the clean sweep on this one?
Yeah, we're all looking like geniuses now, aren't we, with this picking RGC to finish 10th. So, but I remember saying those predictions. I'll probably jinx you picking that. So you're welcome, RGC. Let's have a look what the bookies got. The bookies got 8-15 of RGC, 11-8 Pontypool, 5 points head start to Pontypool. Oh, if we'd picked this game last week, I probably wouldn't have given a second thought. Probably would have gone Pontypool, but RGC now played two of the best teams in the league, taking one to the limit and beating the other one. So, yeah. Still want to say Pontypool, but I think I'm going to go RGC as well. I haven't backed them so far, and they've proved me wrong in both games. So sorry in advance, RGC, if I bug you back again with my predictions. But I think you're going to win this one.
Well, looking like this.
I see Pontypool getting a losing bonus point as well. I see it being close. Which fair play, all the games have been pretty close in this league so far. I've been really impressed with that. We're getting a lot of close games. It is getting to the point where
2 6-pointers, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully we are at
the moment.
Yeah, something we are seeing is everyone wants to attack. Everyone is going out to win games. They're not going out not to lose, which is brilliant for the product, brilliant for the game.
Stuff. Yeah.
So we've got 3 RGCs, and the man that tried to convince us all the errors of our ways last week, Mr. Wilson. Are RGC going to do it again, or do you think you're going to back Pontypool this week?
Yeah, I think this is a bridge too far for Pontypool. I think they've had a couple of slow starts, and I don't think they get that back against RGC. I don't see it being a blowout score or anything like that. I think Pontypool will be competitive, but I've got RGC by 8.
There we go. So a clean sweep for RGC. Not something anyone would have predicted at the start of the season. So this takes us on to our final game, Swansea against Bridgend. Bridgend have been really, really encouraging with their performances. I'm back in Bridgend this week. Swansea have stuttered. In that first game against Quins, and then they just didn't really turn up properly. For that second half against Newport. So they've shown a weakness in one side in the first game and a weakness in another in the second game. And, the improvements in Bridgend, I think, are just too much. So I think Bridgend will do it down to St. Helens. John, straight to you for this one, but.
I completely agree with everything you just said there, Big M, except for the fact that I think I've just got a feeling Swansea are going to nick it. I completely agree with what you said. I don't know what, I just feel Swansea winning it. So bookies have got Swansea favourites 1-2, Bridgend 6-4 with a 6-point head start. But they both desperately need wins so from this game, and this is the game they're going to be targeting both of them. So they've got to win this. So it's going to be close, I think, very close. But I think that home advantage for Swansea is just going to swing it. So I'm going to go Swansea with another losing bonus point for Bridgend.
Okay, so I'm very happy that we've now got opposite choices for the game again. Joe, final game, final prediction. Tell me what's happening, but
yeah, and I think what's happening in this league as well is you're seeing real sort of bounce back after underperformances. I think Swansea would be really frustrated with last weekend. I just think they'll be so frustrated that they didn't get the win, and I think they'll be targeting this one massively. So I don't know what the weather's going to do. I haven't seen a Swansea squad, but they're another week along and another week knitted together a little bit better. So I'm going to go Swansea by 7.
Swansea by 7. So it looks like I might be the only boy back in Bridgend. Rob, you're the final one. Are you going to save me, or is this going to be another 3-1?
I'm going to tie this up. I think Bridgend are going to sneak this one. I think it's the winless game. It's the winless sides derby. The only two teams who haven't got a win yet this season. And I just think Bridgend are showing sort of quite a bit. And I think this sort of what I said about the Swansea sort of throwing it about around the high risk, high reward sort of first half against Newport. I think this is going to be one of those games. Both sides do it quite a lot. How much reward we'll see from it is going to be another question. But I think Bridgend have just got that little bit more quality in the back line to sort of put these chances away, and that's why I'm going to be saying Bridgend by 3 or 4 points. It's going to be a losing bonus point for somebody.
There we go. That wraps us up for all the previews this week. So if majority rules, we're going to have Newport, Llandovery, Cardiff and RGC winning, and Bridgend and Swansea playing out a draw. I don't think that's going to quite happen, but that's how we are calling it. Thank you all very much for joining me. Thank you everyone who's listening or watching online. Like I said earlier, like, share, subscribe, comment. We love it, and we'll do it all again next week. Thank you, fellas, and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Ta-da.
That was the Super Rugby Cymru podcast. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.